My hands still tremble. It was just last night. Mark, my best friend Sarah's husband, cornered me in the quiet kitchen. His voice was a raw whisper, words I never expected to hear. He confessed everything. Every terrible, unforgivable detail. And then he looked into my eyes, a chilling smirk playing on his lips, and said, "You'd never tell her, would you? Not your best friend." The weight of that secret. It's crushing me. How do I look at Sarah, knowing what he did? Knowing I'm now part of his lie? He made sure I can't. He made sure. The coffee was cold. My hand shook as I gripped the mug. Dawn was breaking, but the world outside my window looked gray, muted. Just like everything felt inside me. Last night. Sarah and Mark's anniversary party. The laughter, the clinking glasses, felt like a lifetime ago. A different world. A world before Mark. He found me in the kitchen. I was reaching for another bottle of champagne. He stood too close. His breath, smelling of whiskey and cheap cologne, ghosted my ear. "We need to talk," he'd murmured. His grip on my arm was tight. Not hurtful, but insistent. Commanding. I followed him to the dimly lit study. A room Sarah rarely used. Mark closed the heavy oak door. The click echoed. Silence. Then he started. His voice was low, a steady stream of calculated words. Each one a poison dart. He confessed. Not just to an affair. Not just to some financial misstep. Something far, far worse. He'd been manipulating Sarah for years. Her inheritance. Her family's business. He'd systematically bled it dry. Not for lavish spending. For something else entirely. Something darker. He spoke of offshore accounts. Of shadowy deals. Of threats he'd made to problematic employees. My stomach churned. Sarah's trust, her unconditional love, had been a weapon in his hands. And then the chilling part. He looked at me, his eyes devoid of emotion. "You'd never tell her, would you, Alex?" My name, a venomous hiss. I tried to speak. No sound came out. My throat was dry, constricted. He knew my weakness. He knew our secret. The one from college. The one I'd sworn Sarah would never discover. A mistake, a single lapse in judgment, that could shatter her perception of me, our friendship. He reminded me of it. So calmly. So deliberately. "If you breathe a word," he'd said, "that little indiscretion of yours? The one involving her ex-fiancé, David? It won't stay buried. Not anymore." My blood ran cold. Sarah's ex. The man she'd almost married. My own shameful secret. A moment of weakness, fueled by drunken loneliness, years ago. A secret I'd carried, heavy and guilt-ridden, ever since. Mark had somehow discovered it. And now, he held it like a leash. I'd stumbled out of their house. The night air was a shock to my lungs. Guilt, terror, and a burning rage warred inside me. How could he? How could I? Sarah, my best friend since childhood. Her bright, trusting smile. I saw it superimposed on the dark, cynical face of her husband. Later, a text from Sarah. "Party was great. So glad you came, love you." A simple message. But it felt like a dagger. Each emoji, a silent accusation. I deleted it, then retrieved it from the trash. Stared at it. The words blurred through unshed tears. This wasn't just about Mark anymore. It was about me. My complicity. My fear. The phone vibrated again. A different message. An unknown number. One word, remember. No name. Just the stark, chilling reminder. My hands clenched. Mark wasn't just leveraging my past. He was watching me. Testing me. The air in my apartment felt thick, suffocating. I was trapped. And Sarah, innocent, trusting Sarah, was living a lie. A lie I was now forced to protect. Sleep was impossible. Every shadow seemed to stretch, whispering Mark's threats. My phone lay on the nightstand, a silent, menacing presence. I knew the unknown number was his. A cold, calculated move. A psychological war. He wanted me to break. He wanted me to be afraid. And I was terrified. Not just for myself, but for Sarah. I scrolled through old photos. Sarah and me, kids. Pigtails, scraped knees. Teenagers, sharing secrets over greasy fries. College roommates, dreaming big, wide-eyed. Her face, always alight with an infectious optimism. How could I let him destroy that? How could I participate in her destruction, even by silence? The moral weight was crushing. The next morning, I went to Sarah's. She answered the door, still in her robe. Her smile, however, was genuine. Unaware. It tore at me. We sat at her kitchen island, sipping coffee. She chatted about the anniversary party. How perfect it was. How Mark had been so thoughtful. Every compliment she paid him was a fresh stab. I watched her, searching for cracks. Any sign that she suspected. Her eyes sparkled. Her laughter was free. There was nothing. Just pure, unadulterated happiness. A happiness built on a foundation of Mark's lies. And now, my unwilling silence. My stomach twisted. I wanted to scream. To shake her. To tell her everything. But his words echoed, the one involving her ex-fiancé, David. The memory flashed, hot and shameful. David. The night Sarah almost married him. The devastating fight they'd had. And then me, drunk, vulnerable, comforting him a little too well. A fleeting, terrible mistake. One Sarah would never forgive. Not just the act, but the betrayal from her best friend. Mark had seen my hesitation. He knew my deepest fear. He wasn't just holding my secret. He was holding Sarah's heart hostage. Because if I revealed Mark's crimes, he would unleash my own. Sarah would lose everything. Her husband. Her fortune. And her best friend. The thought was unbearable. I felt trapped in a perfect, evil paradox. Later that week, Mark invited me to lunch. A public place, bustling. His confidence was unnerving. He ordered for me. A subtle power play. He spoke casually, about business. About Sarah. His tone was light. But his eyes, they held a knowing gleam. A silent threat. He wanted to ensure my silence. To solidify my complicity. He mentioned Sarah's upcoming charity gala. A big event. She's so excited, he said, it means a lot to her. He paused, taking a slow sip of water. Especially with the new investors. Very particular people. Details matter. His meaning was clear. Any disruption, any scandal, could jeopardize Sarah's reputation. And implicitly, her charity. He was widening the scope of his threats. Suddenly, a woman at the next table caught my eye. Mid-30s, impeccably dressed. She looked familiar. A faint flicker of recognition. I'd seen her before. But where? Her gaze met mine for a fleeting second. A strange, knowing sadness in her eyes. Then she looked away. Dismissed. Mark continued, oblivious. Or perhaps deliberately ignoring. Sarah trusts you, Alex. Her rock. His voice was smooth as silk. I felt a chill. The word rock felt like an anchor, dragging me down. He was reminding me of my perceived role. My duty to Sarah. A duty he was twisting into his own weapon. As I left the restaurant, the woman from the next table was also exiting. She dropped her purse. As I helped her, a small, laminated card fell out. It was a photo ID. A company logo. Sterling Investments. Mark's eyes, I remembered, had glinted when he mentioned new investors. This woman. She wasn't just a random stranger. She was connected. A clue. Mark's final words to me echoed in my head. Remember, Alex. Some secrets are best left buried. For everyone's sake. His smile was chilling. It wasn't a warning. It was a promise. A promise that he controlled my narrative. He controlled Sarah's future. And now, I had a piece of a puzzle I didn't even know existed. A new layer to his intricate web of lies. The Sterling Investments card felt heavy in my hand. Not just a clue, but a thread. A fragile hope in this suffocating web. My fingers traced the letters. The woman's face etched in my memory. That knowing sadness. It was more than a random encounter. It had to be. Back home, I typed Sterling Investments into my browser. The company website loaded. Sleek, professional. A corporate juggernaut. No immediate connection to Mark. I searched for the woman. Her name I vaguely remembered from her ID, Amelia Hayes. A quick image search. There she was. Not just an employee, but a senior partner. My heart hammered. This wasn't some minor investor. This was a significant player. Then I found it. A cached news article, years old. A scandal involving a massive real estate development. Sterling Investments CEO implicated in fraudulent land deal. The CEO was cleared, but the company's reputation took a hit. And buried deep in the article, a single line, former project manager, Mark Peterson, also questioned during the investigation, later cleared. Mark Peterson. Mark. Sarah's husband. My blood ran cold. He wasn't just a successful businessman. He had a past. A criminal past, barely skirted. And Amelia Hayes was deeply embedded in that world. Suddenly, his current manipulations of Sarah's finances, her charity, clicked into a terrifying pattern. He wasn't just a husband betraying his wife. He was a predator. The phone buzzed. Mark again. A picture message. A grainy photo of Sarah and me, taken at the anniversary party. Laughing. My stomach plummeted. The caption, "Don't forget your place, Alex." It was a cold reminder. He was watching. Always watching. His control felt absolute. I knew I needed to talk to Amelia. She was the key. But how? Without exposing myself? Without triggering Mark's wrath? The charity gala. Sarah's big event was only days away. Amelia Hayes would undoubtedly be there, a major potential donor. It was my only shot. My hands were shaking, but a resolve hardened inside me. The night of the gala. The ballroom shimmered with silk and diamonds. Sarah, radiant in an emerald gown, welcomed guests. Mark, beside her, the picture of a doting husband. A perfect facade. Amelia Hayes was there, her elegance cutting through the crowd. Our eyes met across the room. A flicker of recognition, a shared secret knowledge. I watched her, waiting for an opportunity. Mark was never far from Sarah's side. The evening wore on, a dizzying blur of polite smiles and forced conversation. Then, a sudden, piercing scream from a corner of the room. A woman had fainted. Chaos erupted. Everyone rushed to help. Mark, surprisingly, was among the first. A diversion. A momentary breach in his surveillance. I seized the chance. I moved quickly, weaving through the panicked crowd. "Amelia," I whispered, touching her arm. She turned, her eyes widening in surprise. "We need to talk." "About Mark." Her gaze darted around, assessing the room. Then, a tight nod. "Meet me in the West Garden in 10 minutes. Don't be followed." She melted into the crowd. My heart pounded. This was it. The moment of truth. Or a trap. I found my way to the west garden. It was dimly lit, fragrant with night-blooming jasmine. Amelia was waiting. Her face was grim. "What do you know?" she asked, her voice hushed but intense. "He's manipulating Sarah," I confessed, my voice barely a whisper. "Her finances. Her charity. And he's using something against me to keep me silent." Her eyes narrowed. "He's doing it again." She paused. "Mark Peterson is a con artist. A ghost. He destroyed my family's business. He leveraged my husband's gambling debts against him, forcing him to sign away everything. And then he vanished." Amelia Hayes wasn't just a business associate. She was a vengeful victim. Her husband had committed suicide a year after Mark's scheme. Mark had destroyed her life. And Sarah's current charity was nothing but a shell, a front. The new investors were Mark's old contacts, laundering money. Sarah was an unwitting puppet, caught in a massive, elaborate fraud. The charity gala, meant to secure Sarah's legacy, was Mark's ultimate play. He was preparing to vanish again, taking everything. My breath hitched. Not just an affair. Not just a betrayal. A systematic, criminal enterprise. And Sarah was at the heart of it. My shame, my secret, suddenly seemed insignificant compared to the monstrous scale of Mark's deception. He had truly made me complicit. And now, I had to choose. My past, or Sarah's entire future. Amelia's words hung in the air, a cold, hard truth. Mark wasn't just a cad. He was a criminal. A predator. Sarah was a pawn in a game I now understood. My stomach clenched. My secret about David felt trivial, yet still potent. But now, it was clear, protecting that secret meant sacrificing Sarah. The choice was agonizing. And absolute. "We need proof," I whispered. Amelia nodded. She had documents. Bank transfers. Shell companies. She'd been building her case. Waiting for the right moment. Mark's pattern. He used love, then destroyed it. He was doing it again. My gaze swept the ballroom. Mark was laughing with an investor. The clock was ticking. The charity gala was his grand finale. I knew what I had to do. I found Sarah. She was radiant, beaming. "Isn't it wonderful, Alex?" she asked, her eyes shining. "All these people supporting our cause." My heart ached. I took her hand, pulling her gently aside. "Sarah," I began, my voice trembling, "there's something you need to know." "About Mark." Her smile faltered. Confusion clouded her face. "What are you talking about?" Mark was heading towards us. I had to be fast. "This charity. It's a front. Mark, he's been stealing from you. From everyone." The words tumbled out, desperate. "He's a con artist, Sarah. He destroyed Amelia's family." Mark was beside us, his hand on Sarah's back, a chilling smile plastered on his face. He'd seen me talking to Amelia. He'd been watching. "Alex, what are you implying?" His voice was calm, dripping with feigned concern. Sarah looked between us, bewildered. "Alex, what is it?" Mark tightened his grip on Sarah. "She's just upset, darling. Jealous, perhaps." Then, he turned to me, his eyes steel. "Tell her, Alex. Tell her about David. Tell her how you knew about the early issues with the charity's accounts and said nothing. Tell her that." My blood ran cold. He hadn't just held the David secret. He'd twisted my complicity. He made it seem I was involved in his initial deceit. Sarah's eyes widened, then hardened. "You knew?" Her voice was laced with betrayal. She wasn't just angry about David, she was hurt by my perceived knowledge and silence regarding the charity. Mark had perfectly undermined my credibility. "Sarah, no." I pleaded. "He's lying. I didn't know the extent. He blackmailed me." But the damage was done. The seed of doubt planted. She pulled away, both from Mark and from me. She looked lost. The gala dissolved into a blur. Whispers spread. Mark, ever the master manipulator, played the wounded husband, ushering Sarah away. My world was crashing. I'd failed. But then, a flash. Amelia. She was at the main stage. Microphones. A projector. She stepped forward, an icy determination on her face. Ladies and gentlemen, her voice boomed, cutting through the chaos. I have something to share about Mr. Mark Peterson. The screen behind her flickered. Documents. Emails. Bank statements. She laid it all bare. The offshore accounts. The shell corporations posing as investors. The fraudulent land deals. The charity, designed to siphon funds, then disappear. She had been working with an anonymous tipster for months. The anonymous tipster was Mark's former business partner, now in protective custody, who Amelia had finally convinced to cooperate. Not only had he stolen Sarah's inheritance, but he'd also taken millions from other unwitting investors. The police, alerted by Amelia, swarmed the ballroom. Mark, seeing the screen, seeing his world crumble, tried to escape. He was apprehended at the door. The next few weeks were a nightmare. Sarah's name was cleared. But the damage to her trust, was profound. She visited me. Her eyes were hollow. You didn't trust me, Alex, she said, her voice devoid of emotion. You kept secrets. Both of them. I tried to explain. My fear. His threats. The terrible choice. But the bond was fractured. She understood why I didn't tell her about David earlier, but the charity? The fact that I had any inkling and still stayed silent, under duress, was the ultimate breach. The weight of my choice. I saved her from ruin, but lost her trust. The price of silence. The cost of truth. It wasn't just Mark who shattered her world. I played my part too.